Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I think at this point we're done with everything we're going to do in the shop here with the Ford. Got to get it to the front end shop sometime during the day tomorrow, and then we got to get it over to my buddies at Max Drive and get the windows tinted. That'll be first thing in the morning. But what I wanted to do is take a little bit of time in this little short video, walk around and go over again what we have done, okay, and talk a little bit about the products that I've used on these upgrades, my likes and dislikes. My name is Jody. This is Russ Lover's Garage. Glad you came along. The first and probably most significant upgrade we did as far as running of the motor is replacing the old distributor, which you saw that in the previous video. Obviously, you've seen all of this stuff in the video earlier, but put an HEI in. Got that. Let me back up a little bit, trying not to make you guys dizzy, but we did get that from Summit Racing. It is their company brand, blueprinted HEI distributor for a Ford. Went in, we had a little bit of trouble with the gearing and got it figured out, but so far, and we'll find out today as we do our shakedown exactly how good it did do, but right now it starts up better than it's ever started. One thing that we did do early on is we did change out the carburetor. I've got several of these idle blocks laying around, all been rebuilt. Thought we were having a little bit of trouble there. That did not turn out to be the case, but nonetheless, both these carburetors are good, so we'll put that other one back on the shelf. As you could probably notice, those who really pay attention to the channel, we did go back and change and put the Cobra valve covers on. We got the crack fixed, which there was a video there using JB Weld. We got that done. And then as we move over here to the brakes, we finally got our line hooked up to keep it from leaking. We did also purchased from Summit was the Classic Performance Products brake booster and master cylinder, as well as the front disc brake assemblies. Very impressed with their products. Was pretty much painless. If we had to do it again, which I've got two other trucks we'll be doing this to, will be a lot simpler. But the one thing that I did not like about their kit, first of all, and this could just have been a packaging thing in the warehouse, they did not have any instructions in any of the boxes. Okay, I guess if you're a mechanic, you're supposed to be able to try to figure that out, but there are some things that they did do, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get on around the truck. Okay, here's the front of the truck with the spoiler. We got the front and rear spoiler. We'll see that in just a second. That came from Terry Howard out of Greenville, South Carolina. His company is Ugly Ass Spoilers. Got introduced to him back in the spring at the F100 Nationals there in Sevierville. Great guy, great product. I'll have his information and business card here in the video. Matter of fact, we'll drop it right here. The headlights, they are a recent upgrade, but we did not do that this particular time around. I've done it a little while back. The elephant in the room, though, as you can see, the panels, which we documented in an earlier video, that was from MisFit Fab, and I will drop James's information and card, phone number and everything here. And then we'll move around to the back. So we get down the side of the truck. We didn't do anything with the body other than air up the tires and check them, make sure they were good. And as we walk around to the back, you can see we did the install on the rear spoiler, and very happy with that. Again, that's Terry Howard with Ugly Ass Spoilers. But at this point, it's pretty much time for us to do a little run, do a little shakedown, and see how this thing's going to go. At this point in the video, I'd like to introduce you guys to Max Drive. They are a truck and automotive accessory company.
full installation. They do lift kits, stereo systems, all types of modification, ground effects. They don't get into muffler and brake. However, obviously with the lift kits, they can do alignments. They do full stereo systems or piecemeal pieces together. I've had them to do both for me, a complete system as well as add to some stuff that I own. Outstanding work, outstanding. Cannot speak highly enough of these guys. They're located in Shelby, North Carolina on East Dixon Boulevard. Give Alex a call there. He's the manager. Again, this is a young group of guys. They're hungry. They work hard, and I'll be honest with you, in this day and time, it's kind of hard to find anybody, number one, that'll show up for work, and then second of all, be competitively priced and do what they say they're going to do. They've tinted every window in every vehicle that I own, again, I cannot speak highly enough of the work that they do and the products that they sell. You need to know these people if you don't know them already. Alrighty, this is the tent shop that's out back of their main building. This individual right here is Mr. Brett Bumgardner, and he is certainly a master tinter. Not a singer, a window tinter. Talked with him at length about what he was doing. He explained the product, not that I questioned his ability, because you can watch what he does here and see that this guy right here is next level when it comes to tinting. Again, it goes back top quality products, top quality people. He explained to me exactly what I could expect. Knowing this is an older truck, folks, if you paid any attention, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this particular windshield was replaced about 3 years ago. Dennis Carpenter supplied me with the single piece window seal. If you're working on one of these trucks, please listen carefully when I say buy the one-piece seal. Do not get the ones where they have to set the corner and all in. They're very hard to put in. It's going to cost you a lot more money, and it does not seal quite as good nor last as long as the single one. But the reason I go into that detail is real simple. The new tint can go up against that new rubber and fit very tightly. Some of the older seals that are in the other windows, they don't fit quite as tight. In other words, the tint doesn't go up to the seal quite as it should, but it doesn't matter. It's an old piece of glass and it's an old truck. Again, just watching Brett go about doing what he's doing. I mean, there's just no loose motion here. Again, he explained to me at length what he was doing and how he was doing it, and I understood the concept. But to many people that, if he's working on a $150,000, $200,000 car, a lot of times folks they want to know. And this gentleman took time and gave me information that otherwise he didn't have to do. And he went about his work, and basically in about 2 hours, Brett was done with this vehicle, and again, I was quite pleased with the effort. But this is the type people, again, at Max Drive that you want working on your vehicle. I don't care what you're getting done, because these guys, again, they're hungry, but it's almost like they want to prove just how good a job they can actually do. So, again, look these folks up. You will not be disappointed. As you can tell, the windows have been tinted. These guys have done an absolute outstanding job, especially when you're dealing with an old Ford truck. The windshield was new, and with new rubber, that made it a lot easier to work with. But around these older windows, you just have a hard time getting this tint to lay up against the edges right. And
I just can't say again how good the job actually is. The video obviously does not do it justice, but if you're in Pigeon Forge or Sevierville with us in a few weeks, you'll get to see how good a job it actually is. Hello everyone, this is what I think will be the last of the short videos getting ready for the F100 Super Nationals this coming weekend. I'm not sure when this video will air, but as I'm making it today, this coming weekend is the rod run. We'll be leaving in the morning, Thursday morning, to go up for it as my usual crowd. Randy, Jeff, and my wives, we're all going to go up there and have a big time. We put in a request for no rain, but I'm not sure how successful that's going to be, but it doesn't matter. It's better to be wet at a car show than wet at work. Always remember that. But anyway, you can hear in the background I got the big truck running. We're going to go pick up the F100. It's been in the front end shop, and we're going to do a little bit of video down there. I don't know exactly what, but I want to show one particular thing about this. I mentioned in an earlier video about finding an old school front end shop. This is an old school front end shop. They use the strings, they've got the pit, the whole 9 yards, and I want to excuse me, get it out in a minute. I want to stress how important that is, because the new lasers and stuff, that's for new technology. There's a lot more adjustments on these newer vehicles than they are these old Fords. So depending on what you're doing, if you've got if you're doing a Crown Vic drop on the front end, doesn't matter. That's new technology. The new lasers, the Hunter systems, and things like that, they'll work fine. But if you're not, if you're like me, kind of a traditionalist, especially with this truck and it being my dad's, we're going to run the beams. We're going to do different things. So you got to have somebody that's familiar with that and understands the geometry, but more importantly, how to make the geometry work properly. Okay, so we're going to show you a few things as we get down there to Scotty's place, but again, he said I could come down and shoot all the video I wanted to, so that's what we're going to do. We got the trailer hooked up. We're going to head south for about 45 minutes, pick up the truck and get back. We got a few things to do. Still not happy with the carburetor on this truck. We swapped it out when we were chasing the other problems, and we're going to go back to the old carburetor. It ran fine until it didn't, but it turned out not to be the problem. So we're going to go back to that and do a few things around today, around the shop, and get ready. And also too, I hope on this video, if I can remember to do this, I want to go over everything that we did, show you the manufacturers once again of the products that we used, and again do a like and dislike. Everything's worked out fine, but there's just some things that I would like to have seen done differently. And if you use these same products, then you'll probably want to be mindful of it, and I hope that I can kind of speed your project up just a little bit. But nonetheless, I'm glad you're here today. I'm Jody, and this is Russ Lover's Garage. Let's go get to Ford. All right, everyone, we have made it to the south side of Gastonia, not terribly far from the municipal airport. As you can see here in the background, we are at Wink's front end shop. My buddy Scotty has finished up the front end, and I've talked with him off camera, and we're going to go in, and I'm going to allow him, or he's going to show us exactly what makes this front end alignment different from anything else. Again, guys, if you've got a Crown Vic, and it's oddly enough, the camera right now is sitting on the hood of a Crown Vic that's sitting on a trailer in his parking lot. But again, if you got these old Fords, this is the kind of front end shop that you have got to find if you're going to run the beams. If you're not going to run the beams, then it didn't really matter. Go wherever you want to. But nonetheless, let's go step inside and see what Scotty's got to show us. I think you'll be surprised. Alrighty, we got the truck sitting here. We're going to take a little bit of a look underneath, and Scotty's going to explain to us exactly what it is that goes on. And again, just looking at the pit, as they call it, where the truck's actually set out. And oddly enough, this concrete floor you see right here, that is the most level part of the entire shop. And it has to be to work. So we're going to get up underneath this thing, take a look and see exactly how you go about aligning the F100 I-beams. All right, we have made our way into the pit, and you can see here on the floor the various rigging and jigs and pieces and parts, and very creative and heavy erector set, Scotty. So we got Scotty's underneath the front end here, and he's going to show us exactly what's involved to set up these I-beams. And guys, if you'll pay attention right here on this particular beam, it's where most of the bending took place. So Scott, just walk us through what you're doing here.
Well, what you have here is an old, most typical type front end you find on the old Ford trucks. It's a twin I-beam suspension with the kingpins. And to get your camber settings where they need to be, this actual axle has to be bent. Now I prefer to bend them cold, but that's not always necessarily the case. I've had to heat some of them, they just be that stubborn. But first of all, what takes place, you got to have two good 20-ton jacks. As you see, I've got one placed right here underneath the arm, and I've got one placed right here under this side of the axle. And like I say, most of the equipment I've got here is probably mid-50s or maybe even later. There's been a few of them that's been modified and made by some gentlemen that's taught me this trade, and I still use it today. But as you'll see, what I've done, I've placed both jacks under the same axle. One to the far left near the wheel, and one to the far right next to where it hooks up to the frame. So what I do is I use this, and this is one that we've had actually made. I've got two different types. I'm using the one that fits best. You see, I've got two different types, and they both work basically the same. What you do, you go up and around the arm, and you'll see it slides right down in there. Well, what makes this front end alignment machine different from all the rest, especially new modern day stuff, is this is old school. It don't get no different, don't get no better. Sometimes the old saying, you know, why change a good thing? Well, this is one of those things I wish I had never got away from, because this is the only way you can align these particular vehicles. But what actually takes place is, and again, you got your tie down, and it goes down through the I-beam of the alignment rack. What you do, you'll tie it together. In this case, I have positive camber. That means where the wheel's laid out at the top. So I need to bring this wheel in. So there you'll notice what I'm actually doing. I'm tying it down. And what I'll do is I'll start jacking it. And as it being tied down in the center, as I jack both jacks, what it does, it bends the I-beam inward, which makes the camber come negative, which is where we need to be. But the key to this is not going too far.
There's no coming back.
There is not. Because what happens is you go too far, then you have to turn around and reverse what I've got. You put your jack in the center, and I've got to tie it down on the outer edge here and outer edge here, and then I got to bend it back this way. So the key is that sweet spot. So what I try to do is I go a little at a time to see, well, is the I-beam is it going to bend fast and easy, or is it going to be stubborn? Is when I let it down, is it going to go right back to where it's at? That's the key, that's the thing you don't ever know from vehicle to vehicle. They're just different. But it's just a time-consuming process. Process you really don't see this day and time no more, because, well, these kind of suspensions are long gone. In case you got an old antique truck. It even actually works on the straight axles, which is the older Ford and even Chevrolets. They have those straight axles in the early 50s and back. You know, we do the same thing. We tie them down and bend them to get it go negative. We bend them out to get it go positive. And I've even, to be honest with you, I've even done a few car trailers, boat trailers that people's damaged, run over something that's bent the axle. And I can get under there, if I see which way it's bent, tie it down, and it's basically the same concept. I bend it to bring the camber back what it is. But now, which most of you know what camber is. This is a camber gauge. And as you see, which this has already been done, so I'm just trying to give you an idea of what's what on it. But if you take a look here, this right here works like old carpenter's level, don't lie. And I don't know if you can see my bubble there, but before it was positive, so it was about 2 degrees positive. About right there, you see my bubble, it's at 2 degrees, and we had to bend that all the way till I got it there, which you'll see is dead, perfect zero. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 times, sometimes it takes me 1. That's the question I never know or know how to answer, but
No book written on that.
no book written on that one. But I was taught by a couple elders that's done long gone now, but this is still a practicing art. It works today. Just very few of these cars around to do it, so it's a privilege to be able to still get one here and there to do it on. That's basically how you line the old twin I-beams on Ford truck.
Alrighty, guys, right there is old school technology done by an expert. It's
Scotty, I appreciate it very much, man. We'll get this thing loaded and get it out of your way.
You're very welcome. Thanks, sir.
Guys, we have made it back to the shop. I hope you really saw something neat there with Scotty in the front end shop. Just the only way to do a Ford with I-beams, only way to line it up. Been trying to get a few things done here to the Ford. We're done. We've got the carburetor changed out. Basically, we just got to detail it, clean it up, get it ready, get it on the trailer, and get up to the Ford show next weekend. This coming weekend, obviously, is the rod run. But had a couple people come in and just been kind of hard to get anything done. Neighbors stopping by, checking out, seeing what I'm doing. And that's great, man. Love to have the guys stop by and talk and whatnot, but slowed me down just a little bit. But I hadn't planned on this being part of this video, but a really good friend of mine, I have not seen this gentleman in a very, very long time. Came by driving a... door shutting over there, wind blowing. Driving a Chevrolet truck, a square body, blue and white. My great uncle, I guess it would be, had one of these things. And guys, I just got, it reminded me, we went for a ride in the thing, and he's done some work to it. It's LS'd up, it's nice. But it basically is stock on the inside. And I just got to share this story with you. Other than my dad, my grandfather was the greatest influence in my life. Those of you who are friends of mine and you're on this channel, you'll remember my grandpa, Gene. He was a blacksmith, welding man, fabricator, could do anything with metal. He could heat temper metal, barehanded basically out of a fire forge. It was just incredible what the man could do. And he's the one that got me started messing with metal and watching sparks fly. But nonetheless, this particular story I got to tell you about, it was hilarious. My grandfather burned his eyes out the last 15 years of his life staring at the fire forge and a barroom fight. I mean, that's just bottom line. He lost an eye in a fight. But he got straightened out, gave his life to the Lord, and the last 15 years of his life, unfortunately, he couldn't see, but he had nothing else to do with alcohol, which was great. But nonetheless, he farmed, okay, and he had an uncle. His name, I won't give you his real name because I don't have permission to do that from the family, but they called him Doc, okay. He had a Chevrolet truck just like this, and this is what brought this up. My grandpa and Doc would get together. If anybody had something that they thought they were interested in, or a piece of equipment, a tractor, a plow, whatever, on Saturday afternoons, they'd go find whatever they were looking for, try to buy it if they could. Anyway, this particular day, my grandpa got a phone call from Doc. I'm going to come pick you up. There's a guy up, foothills up here. He's got a whole pile of sweet potatoes. And everybody's looking for sweet potatoes that year for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, I ride with him. I'm small. I mean, I'm 8, 9, 10 years old enough to remember. My grandfather, because his eyes being bad, one of them being really boogered up, he wore dark glasses. Carried a cane, and we kind of led him around, and around the house he could do pretty good by himself. But we're riding in the truck, and we get up here. For those of you with the foothills of North Carolina, you'll know where Pine Mountain's at, up above Toluca, up in that area. We're riding around up there for 3 hours or so, a long time. We never did find this guy with sweet potatoes. And my grandfather had just a very weird way of looking at things. He and his brother Doc, neither one went very far in school. I think maybe between them they had a 3rd or 4th grade education. Could read and write. I mean, they did well. They were very successful farmers. But they just, at that point in time, schooling was not very important to anybody. I mean, if you farmed, you had to eat, you had to live. So we're riding around, and nobody knew about this guy. We couldn't find anything. And the funny thing was, like I said, my grandfather had an unusual way of looking at the fact that he was blind. He did not let it limit him. And he honestly, I don't think, really cared once he accepted it and the family accepted it. But anyway, we're riding around up there, and we come up to an intersection, and we just stop, and we're just sitting there. And my grandpa's sitting there tapping his cane on the floorboard of the truck. And he just kind of looks over in the direction of Doc. And he said, "Doc, we got to be about crazier than," and said it, we got to be about crazier than Hades in this case. Doc looked at him and said, "Gene, what you talking about?" He said, "Doc, a blind man and a man that can't read out trying to find something."
To me, at that time, that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard, and to this day, 50 some odd years later, I'm still laughing about that. But nonetheless, that story has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it happened just a little while ago, and it was a memory for me. Thought I'd share it with you guys. But nonetheless, appreciate you spending some time here with us on the garage today. And now what we're going to do is go around and look and see how everything's tidied up. I want to talk with you a little bit about what we did. Again, I mentioned we're going to talk about the likes and dislikes. So let's get over here to the truck and so we can talk a little bit. Alrighty, so we went back and changed the carburetor. Just went back with the same Edelbrock that we had on there. For whatever reason, the truck likes this carburetor better than the one we had on it. Both of them were rebuilt. I do not understand exactly what, but I'll tear into it at some point and we'll figure it out. Again, we put in the new HEI distributor. That's kind of a clone, crossbred, or whatever you want to call it from GM. Made it up to go with the Ford. It took a little bit to make it work, but all in all, I'm impressed with it. Again, this is the Summit brand, blueprinted HEI distributor for a small block Ford. We did go ahead and put a new set of wires on. You can see there, and obviously on the other side. You saw previously in a video the disc assembly that we put on. We used the Classic Performance products. You can see their sticker, logo, whatever. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. Right there. Again, this has been a very good conversion, very easy for us to do. We fought the brake lines a little bit. The only thing that I didn't like about it was, again, the keeper pins that keep the king pins in. If you guys work on the front end of a Ford, you'll know what I'm talking about. They drive through on one side and they bolt up on the other. Every bolt in this kit was a grade 8 bolt, even the ones, let's get my finger in here, the ones that hold the unit back here to the back to the firewall, all of that was grade 8 bolts except for the keeper pin nuts, and those things were Walmart quality. Really wished Classic Performance, if you guys happen to stumble across this video, guys, upgrade those bolts. Man, you got an outstanding unit here, easy to put in. The only other thing, drawback, is I guess they assume that you know what you're doing if you're going to buy this thing. There was absolutely no instructions in anything that we got in any of the boxes. And, you know, quite frankly, this could be a packaging error. It didn't slow us down. Didn't cause us any problems. But somebody that's never done this, or a little bit of a novice, they might want a little insight as to what's going on. But, I mean, other than those two little bitty nitpicky things, CPP products, guys, I will be using these again. We've got a couple projects coming up that you guys don't know about yet, and we will be using their product on that. Again, we just did some cleaning up. As you can tell, we did get the radiator put in. Got the catch cannon all done. Glad we did that. We did have some problems in the brewing, and if we hadn't got that taken care of, we probably would have not had a successful trip up there in Tennessee. So, again, this is what we got under the hood. Alrighty, I want to make mention again to the spoilers. This one here is on the front. That is from Ugly Ass Spoilers, and I will get Mr. Howard's information in the comments down below, the description down below. Again, this is the back spoiler that we put on. Very, very happy with the way that turned out. Again, we just painted it and stuck it on to match the other white that's on the vehicle. And of course, if we go back up underneath the hood, I'm a little schizophrenic or whatever today, guys. I'm just jumping all over the place. Again, you can see my front panel here. And also the panels that we put underneath. That is from Mr. Mitchell at MisFit Fab. I will have his contact information there. You'll see a lot more of his products being used on my projects in the future. No doubt about it. Both these men make quality products. And again, I highly recommend, if you got an F100, you need to know who these guys are. And if you don't know, look down here in the description and we'll drop it in. Okay. It's taken 4 or 5 videos to get to this point, guys. We're done with the truck. All we like doing is I'm going to do some preparatory work on the haul truck and trailer, greasing bearings and doing some stuff. I put a video together earlier on in the channel's history about how to prep for a trip like this. A lot of that same stuff I'll be doing. We're going to clean up the trailer. It needs a bath, those type things, and pack up some other stuff that we may need for the Ford, and also some display stuff. So again, this weekend, starting tomorrow, Rod Run and Pigeon Forge. Hope to see you guys up there. We're gonna make the trip, and then again next weekend we're gonna be at the F100 and All Ford Super National. This is at the other convention center up in Sevierville,
Tennessee, not the LeConte Center there next to the island and the LeConte Center there in Pigeon Forge. But again, a lot of thrashing around. I think it's going to be a good trip. We will be doing some video. Not exactly sure when we'll get that video out because, guys, again, I'm kind of a one-man band. It's very, very difficult to do a video and get it out within the same 12 to 24-hour period. And those folks that can do it, after getting involved in this stuff, folks, I've got a tremendous amount of respect for you. But we should be running into Corey and Hannah Wheat again with Corey Wheat Customs. Probably going to see those folks sometime tomorrow night. They are calling for a bit of rain with that hurricane coming out of the Gulf, so don't know how it's going to go. But nonetheless, folks, I do appreciate so very much the time you spend on my channel. We're up about 690, maybe getting ready to cross that 700 mark. Got a special announcement once we get to the 1,000. Not going to talk much about it, but when I hit that 1,000 mark, we're going to do something a little bit different with the channel. Think you'll like it. But appreciate so very much the time you spend with my channel. It does not go unnoticed. And again, thanks. It's the best I can do at this point. God bless.